Hey everyone, my name is Eragon. I'm a professional analyst on the LEC as well as a color caster, and I also co-stream and am a Grandmaster player as of this moment. What I thought I'd do today is make a tier list of champions to be picked in this upcoming split, because I feel like since it's a brand new meta, a lot of people might be a bit out of the loop as to what's good. There's LPL going right now, and I've co-streamed every single LPL game, having watched them all. I think I've developed a decent understanding of what is strong. So I'm going to go through every single pick, the top 5 essentially picks in each role that I think will be meta and what you should expect to see in the LEC this weekend. So 14.11, let's start with top lane. Skarner is the first one. I mean, to no one's surprise, unless you've been living under a rock, Skarner is incredibly broken. Think of it as a Cassante or an Udyr of old, with a very good lane phase, but also is fine scaling because he has a bunch of utility. It's Cassante with a good lane phase. It's absolutely disturbing. This champion is really, really broken. He can be flexed into multiple different roles. Jungle, I've seen support as well. In the LPL, it isn't really being flexed away, and I think the reason for that is because top lane Skarner is just too good. It doesn't have any real answers. You get these kind of soft losing matchups, like into Twisted Fate, which is, you know, it's a bit miserable. Twisted Fate will get a small lead. You know, at the very end of the day, you're a utility bot and you're fine. You can make it through lane phase. So that's why Skarner's incredibly broken. Next one is Kennen. I think Kennen's going to be incredibly high pro. In EU, we have a bunch of Kennen players. I think we'll see blind pick Kennens. Kennen's not being touched in the LPL right now, but that will change once they see EU play it. So I think Kennen will definitely be a top tier pick. He's good into a bunch of champions. I think Kennen to Skarner is so good. Well, it's decent. Twisted Fate into Skarner is also decent, but reality is they're just soft winning. This champion is not normal. Kennen's really, really good and is underplayed in solo queue as well. So next one. TF, self-explanatory as well. If you have watched pro play for the past months, TF is really, really broken and needs nerfs, and he's super good against melees. I think he is being nerfed next patch, so there's that 14.12. I don't need to go on and on about it. Gold generation passive can be countered by lane swaps, but lane swaps have been nerfed on 14.11. So yeah, just really, really strong champion. So next one, Rumble. Best anti-melee champ in the game, it feels like. Just wins every single matchup. Insane laning phase. Can be combined up with a bunch of different champions. This champion is not normal either. A lot of these champs are just not normal. Skarner being the biggest not normal champ. But Rumble has been broken for so long. I don't know how this champion dodges nerfs. It is so unplayable to play into as a melee champion. Can be flexed to support as well. Just really, really, really strong. Top 5 champion for sure. And the last one I'm going to say is Camille. I think Camille can even be blind picked at the moment, at the very least in the highest tiers of play. Has a bunch of setup into range champions. That's the counterplay there. So I think Camille is very, very good, and we'll probably see a bunch of Camille in the LEC this weekend. By the Camille players. Not by everyone, naturally. But I think for sure from the Camille players, I'll let you figure out who that is, but not everyone. Okay, next, Jungle. Oh, actually, before we go on to Jungle, I just want to clarify, where is Cassante? Cassante got the mother of all nerfs. I don't think we're going to see any Cassante anymore. I think champions like Skarner replaces Cassante, and I think Cassante is pretty much dead. Maybe this is going to be a completely wrong take, but I mean, I'm willing to bet Cassante is not going to be picked. So yeah, this is going to be like top 5 champions that influence the role, and that's what we're going to do every single role with. LILLIA for jungle. Very, very not normally champion. I think honorable mention to Renekton over here, because Renekton pairs so well with LILLIA, but he does so badly in these matchups outside of Camille that it's not worth putting him on. LILLIA is very, very, very strong too, and what you're going to notice in a lot of these champion lists is they're all AP junglers pretty much. This role is fairly flexible. I think you could still have your odd Xin game here. I think there's probably room for something like a Kindred as AD carry jungler. We see a lot of Graves and Lee Sin and Viego, but a lot of the time what you're seeing at the moment is AP junglers, because of the buffs to AP junglers, buffs to XP, and how they can snowball incredibly hard, and the natural gameplay of the meta at the moment is AP junglers power farming, generating huge leads through farming, and then what can they do with those leads? Right, that's the general meta at the moment, and naturally that makes AD champions top lane, or, you know, whatever have you, decent as well, and mid. So, also really not normal champion, incredibly strong. LILLIA there too. Brand, we're gonna see all these champions. Players like Elyoya will bring out Brand, right? He loves Brand. Exactly the same thing. Morgana is one that is going to surprise a lot of people because we haven't seen it in at all in LPL. But we're going to see it. I mean, just take a look at G2 Yikes OPGG. And enough said, we'll probably see it picked alongside AD mid laners because that is the meta at the moment. And she's a relatively fast killer. Not as fast as something like Karthus, but it's decent. And lastly, IVERN. I honestly, I think this is like a tier below. But I think there's so many honorable mentions for jungle. There's a lot that you can pick right now, but I think AP junglers have won out for sure on this patch. And the natural order of things is that AP junglers are now above tanks because tanks don't like the XP changes. So C-less, Maokai, and Sejuani probably. Maybe in EU, we have less like Nidalee players. Oh, that's a champion that could have gone here, Nidalee, potentially. But you need to be a Nidalee player, right? So if your name's Shun, go for it. Otherwise, probably not. And I don't know how many Nidalee players we have in the LEC. Maybe Yike. maybe Yike, and that's it. Other than that, not really. Okay, next. Tristana. All right, I'm scared of wiping away any of this in case I reveal AD by accident. But Tristana is very, 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 very strong in the mid lane. I'm not sure if she's the strongest yet, but she gets prio in every single lane. Is an AD mid that works well with the AP junglers. Recently, grubs were buffed. She absolutely loves the grub buffs. She can secure grubs because she gets prio in every lane. This champion just has everything going for her. Crit items have been buffed. Very, very broken champion because of all these changes around her and like just how good she is as a champion as well. So yeah, Tristana is probably my number one mid laner. Secondly to Hui. I think Hui is incredible at the moment. Blackfire Torch build, Seraph build, I think he's fairly flexible in terms of that. And Blackfire Torch Wave Clear is super nice. But this champion can be an answer into Tristana. It can be answered into Corki mid as well. And mid lane pool is actually fairly shallow. I think the mid lane pool, I'm actually going to reveal them all and just talk about them generally. Mid lane pool is fairly shallow. You'll notice that it's like 80 mids. Corki should be here. I think I'd replace Yone with Corki, but I can only include him in one and I put him in AD. Corki is probably alongside Hui and Tristana, the top three. And then you have like Jason LeBlanc below that, Yone. But versus Corki, you have like this dynamic of Yone and Hui being picked into it, Hui being picked into Tristana as well. And then because it's Fearless draft in LPL right now, you get like blind pick LeBlancs coming out after a while because there's just so many. And that just tells me that LeBlanc is the next in line. But yeah, it's the state of the AP items. It's the state of AD champions given that AP junglers are meta. And just remember that metas, they're like domino effecty, right? If AP junglers are strong, then AD mids are strong because you want the mixed damage source. So yeah, that's why Jace can be picked, for example, even though it's not like common, and that's why Corki mid's good and why Tristana mid's good. Okay, next. Oh, wait, actually, just to touch on Yone, why is he here? I imagine people will be like, why is Yone here? His items are terrible. The items look fine to me. I've seen like Bork, Navorian, might not be amazing, but he still one-shot someone. But the idea is that you sustain specifically through a lane like Corki and win the lane versus Corki after a couple levels. And you abuse Absorb Life, Second Wind D-Shield, and Free Scale. That's the idea. So I think he's pretty decent. But I still think LeBlanc has incredible one-shot potential, loves the new First Strike, loves the new Ludens. And then AD mids are self-explanatory, and Hui is just insane. I think Hui is absolutely crazy right now. Absolutely mental. Alright, AD, first one is Corki. I think he's the best AD carry on the patch. People might say he's better mid because LPL have only played him mid, but I think he's just super, super strong and wins almost every lane bot lane as well. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a bunch of Corki bot lane this weekend. So yeah, even into champions like Varus and Kalista, I think Corki is really, really good. And onto that, Varus and Kalista. They're still here. They're still not gone. Expect to see them. Varus, we have like this whole dynamic of Varus being picked, dissuading Corki bot lane, and then putting in mid lane. But Varus is being answered by stuff like Jhin and Ziggs. Jhin loves the crit items naturally, and you get like double crit, double AD carry compositions with an AP jungler. Ziggs is being picked up as well into champions like the Varus, and you just leave the Ziggs and the Jhin on an island, neutralize the lane, not being diveable, whilst the support goes to roam. And that should tell you what the meta is for the supports. But generally, these champions are really, really strong still. Why is Varus still here? Good question. He just is. He's still really, really good. Cheap items and what have you, just really strong champion. Okay, next. And why is Jhin here despite being so bad as a champion in terms of his kit? I think because he's like countered by tanks. I think he really likes the IE changes. Also good matchups here. And this buffs players like Ice, right? In my eyes. So look forward to Ice Jhin this weekend potentially into Varus. I think that's probably a matchup that could happen. Okay, next. Rel for support. I'm just going to show them both. I'm going to show them all. It's just hard engage, melees, and CC. Okay, so there's this really big dynamic right now, which I think is super important for the meta, and that is CC is broken. I think CC is incredibly broken right now. Notice the CC AD carries as well. Oh, shoot. Okay, I want to put Ashe here. Honorable mention, Ashe. And the reason for that is because tenacity has been nerfed across the board, right? And you see like 6+ mercs every game. And I think for that reason, champions like Leona have risen up in popularity and in effective like usefulness. Because the counter to mercs before was... Sorry, the counter to Leona before was mercs. Leona hated tenacity because she's all stuns. But now tenacity's nerfed, she's just straight up better, right? You ask any pro player, ask Trimby, why don't you like Leona? He's like, mercs. But now, tenacity's nerfed across the board, right? So I think Leona is just way better. You roam around with her, pair her off with something like that. Like, she just loves the meta right now. So yeah, I think CC's very broken at the moment. Same reasoning for Nautilus. Nautilus has always been a really, really good champion. Rel got support buffs to compensate for being nerfed in the jungle. So she's incredibly good right now. And I think you have this trifecta. I think Blitzcrank's okay as well. It's probably why Blitzcrank is being nerfed. And we have a lot of Blitzcrank players in EU. That's why I put him here. Honestly, when I was thinking about this list, like who to put next, I was thinking maybe Rakan, but it just feels like it's these 4 champs on repeat. And then I'm going to show the honorable mentions. There's probably a bunch more I could add here. This honestly just became a tab for junglers that are also seeing play because it feels like jungle is quite flexible at the moment. Champions like Renekton are here because in any meta with Talia, Renekton's decent because it's such a good combo and single target. And AED, like Renekton's AED works well with AP junglers, right? But I just think the champion is just not good. You see Senna's here and there. TES played it. Lucian is still good. Crit items are great, right? Like these champions are okay, but they won't be meta defining. What's up here is like I think we'll be seen almost every game, one of these in every single role. I think Kha'Zix can be played into some of the AP champions in the jungle, assuming they get through first clear versus like a Nidalee. Nidalee could be here. I think Nidalee very well could be here, but you have to be Nidalee jungle. There's like an asterisk here, right? Anything with asterisk, you have to be a Nidalee jungle main. Otherwise, it's bad. And then there's probably like loads more. We've seen Maokai's here, even though tanks aren't that great. We've seen a bunch of AP Maokai with Blackfire Torch Leandrews, and I still don't have a read on that yet, so I put a maybe there. I think Kindred's probably the best AD jungler on the patch. Graves looks a bit sus to me, but we see a lot of it in LPL. I don't really like Graves as a champ. And I don't really like Viego as a champ, but I feel like we probably have a lot of Viego players. So these are champs that will be picked, and I don't really like them here and there. Some I like more than others, but will probably be picked as well. Hope this was good. I'm going to round it off there. I hope this helps you get prepared for the LEC this weekend and have a bit more of an understanding of the meta.